So let's just do everything you're never supposed to do in a horror movie ever for the whole movie. What's going on, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of Horror. I am Morgan Film Fan. Let's jump into some scares. Scar is today's film. It's a film that I've known for a long time. And just by the poster, though. Like, I've never heard reviews about it, known anything about it. I went into it completely blind. And, I mean, I'm not... Like, I enjoyed the film. The film has its flaws, which I'm definitely going to talk about, but... that's just in production wise. Is the film enjoyable? For me, yes. For a lot of people, it probably won't be. But for... I basically, again, I say this in every video. If a film can entertain me, then it's good. That's all I really need from any movie is can it entertain me. So, this was released in 2007, I think. It says 2007 on IMDb anyway. It has Angela Bettis in it, if that's how you pronounce her last name, who is familiar from the film May. She's basically famous from May. And there's another actor named Devin Gray, who I recognized immediately, but I just didn't know where from. And until I looked him up. I'm like, I know that face, And... he played teenage Dexter in the Dexter series from 2006 to 2009, I think. Recognizable face. What we have going on in this film is there's two things playing out at different times. Now, when I was watching the film, I felt like everything was going on at the same time, but it's not. There's a backstory, and then there's a present day story going on at the same time, but they both look the same. That's why I was so confused. So these two girls are I think 18 and 17 or something like that. They're hanging out at a funeral home, kind of being rebellious and stuff like that, like in the graveyard. I think they're drinking and smoking pot or something like that, and then they decide to like go try and like mess with the guy who lives there, and then the guy who lives there comes out, and he's this guy that looks like he's in his 30s, and I think the girls hurt themselves at one point, and he's like treating their wounds, and then there's like flirtation going on, and he's flirting with the 17-year-old even though he knows she's 17, and she's going along with it even though she knows she's 17, and it's just a really weird ass situation. And then he basically just ends up kidnapping the girls. Now, why they would put themselves in that situation, craziness. And there's this whole sick game that he likes to play where he takes two victims and he basically asks both of them, do I kill the other or do I keep torturing you? So he has these two girls, and he's torturing one, and he's like he keeps doing like real sick, twisted, sadistic stuff to the one, and he's like, I'll stop as long as you say like kill her. So the torturing will stop if the one victim says to kill the other victim, and then he'll kill the other victim. So it's this back and forth. Sadistic game that he plays where it's either you get tortured severely or you say mercy, like the other person dies, and save myself from the torment, and he will. So that's his crazy game. 10 years later or something like that, the victim survived. So she's the sister of this police officer named Jeff, and then other murders start to happen. Other victims start to get kidnapped. There's this insanely cheesy ass scene between this couple named April and someone else. I forget. Where it's the cheesiest slasher scene that, I mean, you can't make this shit up. It's just, well, apparently you can because it was written. But they're having sex, and apparently the guy was a virgin, and the girl is desperate to lose her virginity. And then he runs off to the lake for whatever reason. And she's like, okay, if you're not going to do it, then I'll go find somebody else who will. I'm not going to say what the reveals are, but the reveals are pretty ridiculous. There's a lot of red herring, I think they call it. Choices made between, like, when the killer is revealed, it's like, come on, really? Like, how did this person get away with everything? And there's a lot of leading on to somebody being crazy when they're not crazy, but then you think they're crazy again, and then they're not crazy, without getting too much into spoilers, I mean. But, I mean, there's one scene in the climax, it's supposed to be like the goriest scene. This woman is handcuffed onto a bar, and she, like, this really actually feels like I would say a cheap Saw or a cheap Hostel. She's handcuffed, and she cuts her whole freaking thumb off. Like, the whole thumb thing. So her hand is like that's what's left. And all she does is, like, bite into a towel, and she's like, it's like, it doesn't work that way. You have to cut through so much bone and shit. And she does it with, like one of those box cutters or something like that, like a really small knife, and she's just hacking away, and she's like, just getting through it, and it's just like, that's so ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But you know what? The film's still fun, and it is what it is. I mean, it's a ridiculous kind of cheap Saw experience, I guess. And I mean, the acting is pretty atrocious from everybody. The directing is strange. The writing is fine. It's a good concept. I like the concept for a cheesy slasher movie. But the execution is definitely where it fell apart a little bit. But it's still a very fun film to watch if you want to shut your brain off for a little bit. And if you like gore, like, it's definitely packed in gore. The blood and carnage is good. The torture is cool. The characters' motivations are pretty cool. Like I said, they're written well, but they're not executed well. They just come across as a little bit strange. But overall, like I said, I'm probably going to give this film like 21 out of 100. But that doesn't mean that I didn't like it, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to get rid of it or anything like that, because it's definitely going to be a keeper. And just know what you're getting into. You'll know what you're into. So if it sounds up your alley, I recommend it. If you hate everything that I just described about the movie, then stay away from it, pretty much. It's as simple as that. That's day 11, so subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more. Subscribe if you like everything else you see. Check out the other videos. And until next review, take care and cheers.